As a mom, to be able to feed my baby, it's amazing. You know, just to know that she's getting everything she needs from me is pretty cool.
Your breast milk is so nutritious and protective that it can lead to better health for you and your baby. Babies who are breastfed have fewer ear infections and colds, less diarrhea and constipation, and are less likely to develop conditions like obesity and diabetes than formula-fed babies. They are also at a lower risk of sudden infant death syndrome. Breastfeeding is important for mothers too.
Are you really hungry?
The longer a woman breastfeeds, the more protection she has against developing heart disease and type 2 diabetes, as well as ovarian and breast cancer. Plus, breastfeeding moms usually lose their pregnancy weight faster. And don't forget the strong emotional bond that comes with the close contact you get from breastfeeding your baby.
There we go.
You'll learn that breastfeeding creates this amazing, special connection between you and your baby. Basically, you're a superhero while you're breastfeeding. Baby has a cold, breastfeeding makes it better. Baby has an owie, breastfeeding makes it better. Baby misses you or is lonely, breastfeeding. Baby's tired but can't quite settle, breastfeeding is the answer.
The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that for about the first 6 months of your baby's life, you feed them only breast milk and nothing else. No formula, water, juice, or solid foods, including rice cereal. They also recommend that you continue to breastfeed for at least 12 months, even after your baby starts eating solids, and as long as you both would like after that. While any amount of breast milk is better than none, the longer you breastfeed, the more benefits for you and your baby. With time, practice, and the support of those around you, breastfeeding will become easier and feel more natural.
My goal is to breastfeed for the whole year. I never knew that, during this time of me doing, something for him, that I was gonna feel so proud of myself, actually. So it's something that's really been, good for both of us.
Breastfeeding really is amazing. Late in pregnancy, your breasts make small amounts of a thick, very nutritious milk called colostrum. This special milk is all your baby needs and is easy to digest, making it the perfect first food for your newborn. In the first few days after birth, colostrum changes to mature milk. You may also hear it referred to as your milk coming in. This mature milk is more plentiful and helps your baby grow and develop. Let's take a closer look at how your body creates this perfect food for your baby. Inside a woman's breasts are milk-making glands called alveoli. This is where your milk is made and stored. When your baby latches onto your breast and starts to suck, your brain sends hormones to the alveoli. Prolactin tells the alveoli to make milk, and oxytocin tells the alveoli to release milk. This release of milk is called the letdown reflex. During letdown, you may feel a tingling sensation, or nothing at all. Once the alveoli release the milk, it travels through the milk ducts to your nipple. The milk comes out of the nipple openings into your baby's mouth. The more milk your baby takes from your breasts, the more milk your breasts will make to replace that milk. Your body naturally responds to your baby's needs. Even before your baby is born, there are a few things you can do to help get breastfeeding off to a good start. When you arrive at the hospital, let the staff know that you will be breastfeeding. Tell them that you don't want pacifiers, formula, or sugar water given to your baby unless it's medically necessary. These can cause problems with breastfeeding. Also, let them know that you want your baby put directly on your chest, skin to skin, right after birth and until the first feeding. Skin-to-skin contact is recommended because it helps your baby breastfeed better and for a longer period of time. You and your baby will also benefit from continuing skin-to-skin care as much as possible in the first few weeks.
Like just having that warmth on my chest and having her on my chest was really, it was a really good feeling. She was just doing those hunger signs. She's just like moving her head everywhere, just trying to look for something. The nurses definitely did help me a lot, and they just, grabbed her, grabbed me, and she latched on right away.
Another way to get breastfeeding off to the best start is to room in with your baby. Keeping your baby in the same room as you during your entire stay at the hospital allows you to hold her skin to skin and respond to her feeding cues quickly. On the second night, you may notice that your baby is fussier and seems to want to feed more often. Babies do this mainly for comfort, and it's normal and temporary. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that healthy, full-term babies avoid pacifiers until breastfeeding is going well and your milk production is established. At that point, consider offering him a pacifier at nap or bedtime to help reduce the risk of sudden infant death syndrome.
The first moment realizing that I can breastfeed it was kind of pretty exciting. And when I say exciting, it's all because of the doctors and nurses saying, she needs this is what's going to help her, it's going to help her grow.
If your baby was born early or with a medical condition or can't breastfeed right away, your breast milk is still the best food for her. Start pumping your milk or removing it by hand as soon as possible after delivery to protect your milk supply. Ask your nurse or lactation consultant to help.
Here, and now try pushing back and squeezing. There you go, you're doing amazing.
This milk can be provided to your baby in various ways until she is able to feed at your breast. Holding your baby skin to skin with no clothing or sheets between you gets breastfeeding off to a great start.
Yeah, we wanted to do the skin to skin because I've read a lot about how good it is for baby, but it's just a really good bonding moment for her to just come right out and be with you right away.
Skin to skin contact triggers the hormones that support breastfeeding. It also helps babies latch on and breastfeed sooner, which leads to a healthy milk supply. Skin to skin keeps your baby warm and comfortable and helps him adjust to life outside the womb, so he tends to cry less and is less stressed. It may even impact his future brain and emotional development. If you have a cesarean birth, ask to have your baby put skin to skin with you as soon as possible, either on your or your partner's chest or held cheek to cheek with you. When you hold your baby skin to skin, lie back and relax with her close to your breast. She may move to latch on by herself, or you can help her. There are many breastfeeding positions for moms and babies. The main thing is to relax and be as comfortable as possible. Over time, you'll find what works best for you and your baby. Just remember that any position should include these basics. Hold her tummy to tummy with her nose across from your nipple. Support her whole body, not just her head. And be sure her body is in a line, not twisting or turning. In a laid-back position, you recline comfortably at about a 45-degree angle. Place your baby across your stomach with her cheek near or on your breast so she can find your nipple and latch on. Use pillows to keep you comfortable. If needed, support your baby's head with your arm and her feet against your thigh, your arm, or the bed. If you had a cesarean, you can position her in a way that avoids your incision. The cross-cradle position is also helpful for new moms and babies. Lean back a little and use a pillow or a stool if it makes you feel more comfortable. Support her upper back and shoulders with your hand keeping your fingers low behind her ears. If it helps, you can hold your breast with your other hand. With the football position, hold your baby close in along the side of your body. Use pillows to support your body as needed. This position lets you clearly see how your baby is latching on. This hold can be useful if you have twins, a premature baby, a cesarean birth, or large breasts. In the side-lying position, you and your baby lie on your sides, tummy to tummy. It may take a couple of tries, but once you learn how, this position is great for resting and nursing. Remember to keep all loose blankets and pillows away from the baby. Finally, when your baby has more neck strength, you can use the cradle hold, which supports your baby's head in the crook of your arm. Over time, you'll find your favorite positions, and so will she. Just remember to be as relaxed as possible and hold your baby close into your body so she can get a deep, effective latch.
Pretty girl.
I think for one at a time, I really found cross cradle to be comfortable. And then we kind of evolved to all have one in a cross cradle and one in a football, laying on top of the other.
The most important part of breastfeeding is knowing that your baby has a deep, effective latch. An effective latch allows your baby to get more milk and you to be more comfortable. Many babies latch on easily when mom is leaning back and relaxed with her baby on her torso, sometimes called a baby-led latch.
And then you can take away this hand and you can support his head and your breast with this arm and shoulder.
When you're leading your baby to latch, lean back slightly so you are relaxed and comfortable. Hold your baby close into your body with her tummy facing yours. Place your baby so her nose is right across from your nipple. Keep your hand behind the areola, the dark area around your nipple. You can interest her with a drop of expressed milk. Tickle her upper lip. When she opens her mouth wide like a yawn, pull her in quick and close. Look for the signs of a deep latch when you breastfeed. Your baby's mouth is open wide, her lips are flared outward, and her chin is pressed into the breast. You should be able to see more areola above her mouth than below. Your baby's ear and jaw should move when she sucks. You'll feel a pulling or tugging that's not painful. And you may be able to see and hear her swallowing. With a shallow latch, only the nipple or a small amount of the breast is in the baby's mouth. You may feel biting and pinching, nipple pain, and you may hear clicking or smacking sounds.
And then when she opens up her mouth wide, then you can just bring her in nice and quick.
In the early days, it may take some time and practice for your baby to latch on correctly. If your baby has a shallow latch, you'll need to re-latch. Break the suction gently to protect your nipples by pushing in on your baby's cheek or inserting a clean finger in the side of her mouth. Be patient with yourself and your baby. The more she breastfeeds, the better she'll get at latching on. If you have problems breastfeeding, talk to your nurse or a lactation consultant. They can help find the cause and a solution.
Relax your shoulder.
This animation shows what a deep, effective latch looks like. With his mouth open wide, the baby comes to the breast chin first, with his head tilted back. He latches on so that the nipple is drawn far inside his mouth all the way to the soft palate, which is very flexible. Here, your nipple can expand and the milk can flow without causing pain. With his tongue above his lower lip and under the breast, he sucks quickly, which helps trigger the letdown reflex. When the milk starts flowing, his sucking becomes deeper and stronger. He settles into a rhythm of suck and swallow. A deep, effective latch allows your baby to receive more milk and you to be more comfortable. With a shallow latch, however, the nipple is not far enough inside the baby's mouth. When it only reaches the hard palate in the front of baby's mouth, the nipple gets pinched. This can damage the nipple and result in your baby getting less milk. Once you are comfortable and your baby has a good latch, feed her for as long as she is actively sucking. When she releases the breast or her sucking slows down, try to burp her. Keep in mind that breastfed babies don't always need to burp, especially in the first few days. Then, offer her the second breast. She may take it if she's still hungry. At every feeding, switch the side that you start on to make sure each breast is getting the same amount of stimulation. In the first weeks, feedings take a lot of time, but usually become shorter as your baby gets better at breastfeeding.
Between 5 and 45 minutes is normal for a newborn, but as the baby gets better at nursing and baby gets more efficient, that time will decrease.
I think I was surprised how much time it takes by the time you get settled, and then he wouldn't latch on right away and you finally get him on, and then you burp him and they switch sides and he won't latch on that side either and he cries. But then I was surprised over time how much I liked it. It's just really a good bonding time. It kind of gives you some quiet cuddle moments. 6 months or a year in, when you're much better at it, it's enjoyable and relaxing, and it feels good to know that you're giving your baby what they need.
Breastfeeding is based on your baby's needs. That means there is no set schedule. Just feed them when they're hungry, day or night. In the early weeks, that should be about 8 to 12 feedings in each 24-hour period, including nighttime.
My baby was waking up every hour, so I was like, what is wrong with my baby? Maybe she's not getting enough milk. Maybe I don't have milk. I'm not producing milk. So I called my nurse and she told me that it was completely fine.
It's natural that your newborn needs to eat often in the beginning. This is because her stomach is small and designed to take in very small amounts of milk at each feeding. On day 1, her stomach is about the size of a grape. By day 3, her stomach is close to the size of a cherry tomato. On day 7, her stomach is about the size of a strawberry. And by the first month, her stomach is close to the size of a lime. As your baby's stomach grows, she'll take in more breast milk at each feeding.
It's important to try to breastfeed baby at the earliest signs of hunger. Baby is so much more patient when they're not that starving, and you can get a much better latch. But when baby is fussy and crying, it can be a lot more difficult.
Keep your baby near you day and night so you can feed her as soon as you notice her feeding cues. These are movements and sounds she makes when she's ready to be fed. An early feeding cue is fidgeting. She's probably going to be ready for her next meal soon. Another early cue is the rooting reflex when she moves her head back and forth, looking for a breast. You might also see her make sucking motions with her tongue and mouth, or bring her hand to her mouth. As he gets hungrier, he will move his arms and legs as he becomes more agitated. Finally, a hungry baby will start to cry. It can be hard for a crying baby to latch, so try to feed your baby when you see her early feeding cues. You can also pay attention to your own body to know when it's time to feed your baby. When your breasts feel full, it's probably time to nurse. During the first few days, some babies sleep a lot and are not very interested in eating. If your newborn is not feeding at least 8 times in 24 hours, you'll need to wake her up to eat. Help her wake up by holding her skin to skin, changing her diaper, trying a different feeding position, or switching breasts. Remember, your milk supply depends on how often and how well your baby breastfeeds. Your baby will need to feed at least once or twice at night. If you think you might fall asleep while feeding, don't feed him on a sofa or armchair. These are unsafe environments. It's safer to bring your baby into bed with you for a feeding. Keep the area free of blankets, pillows, and sheets in case you fall asleep. After you feed your baby, return him to his separate sleeping area. It's normal for a baby to cluster feed.
Wow, she's really feeding a lot, huh?
This is when she has several feedings in a short period of time and then takes a longer break before nursing again. Cluster feedings are healthy as long as she's eating at least 8 times in 24 hours.
Last night, she was nursing frequently, and I was a little concerned that I was going to run out of milk because she just kept, eating and eating. But I did read that your body will produce enough milk, and if you just keep feeding the baby will initiate supply.
Feeding your baby more often on some days is a normal part of building a healthy milk supply. Don't worry, this frequent feeding usually lasts only a few days.
One of the things to listen for while baby is breastfeeding is audible swallowing. So you should hear baby swallowing lots of breast milk, and also the latch should be pain-free. So it should be very comfortable for mom. You can look for plenty of wet and dirty diapers in 24 hours, and baby can have frequent weight checks, and often that shows that baby is gaining enough weight.
Many new moms wonder if their baby is getting enough milk. One way you can tell is if you see and hear your baby sucking and swallowing milk once your mature milk comes in. You may see her ears or jaw moving.
You're a hungry little girl.
Also, notice how you both feel after a feeding. Your breasts should feel lighter and softer, and your baby should seem content and satisfied, not fussy or showing hunger cues. A baby who is getting enough milk should also have several periods of being awake and alert during the day. Another way you can tell if your baby is getting enough breast milk is by keeping an eye on how many wet and dirty diapers they have each day. A breastfed baby's first stools, called meconium, will be black and sticky. From day 3 to 4, her stool will change to a greenish-brown color. Then from day 5 to 6, they will be yellow with a loose, seedy texture. By day 5, a breastfed baby should have at least 6 wet diapers and 4 stools every day. It's common for breastfed babies to have a bowel movement after each feeding in the first few weeks. After this, a breastfed baby may have fewer stools. It helps to use a feeding and diaper log to track her feedings and diapers. You can use a digital log or track feedings and diapers on paper. Finally, your baby is probably getting enough milk if you feed her about 8 to 12 times every 24 hours.
We'll go ahead and weigh her before and after the feeding, and that'll tell us.
If you're concerned your baby isn't getting enough milk, have her weighed. In the first day after birth, it's normal for babies to lose a little weight. By 10 to 14 days after birth, your baby should be back to her birth weight. After that, the average baby gains about 5 to 7 ounces every week until the end of the 2nd or 3rd month.
So she's gaining really quickly now. It's nice if they'll gain a half an ounce to an ounce a day.
Call your baby's healthcare provider if she seems very sleepy and needs to be awakened to feed, or sleeps through the night, does not have at least 4 yellow stools per day by day 4, or 5 wet diapers per day by day 5, has a reddish-orange stain in her diaper, which is a sign of dehydration. If her stools suddenly change, she's not gaining weight. She acts hungry after feeding or has short feedings. Your breasts aren't fuller or firmer by day 5. Her skin or eyes become yellow, which is a sign of jaundice. Or she breastfeeds fewer than 8 times in 24 hours. Contact a lactation consultant or your baby's healthcare provider if you are concerned that your baby isn't getting enough to eat, and before you think about giving her formula.
Is it okay if it's sporadic, like sometimes it's 20 minutes and then other times it's like 45 minutes?
Those sound like normal
It's
time
okay.
frames for a baby to eat, yeah.
When a baby gets formula, even in small amounts, it reduces the time spent breastfeeding, which can affect your milk production. Most breastfeeding issues can be solved quickly when caught early on. Within about 72 hours after birth, it's natural for your breasts to feel fuller, heavier, and more tender. This is a sign that your first milk, called colostrum, which is made in perfect smaller amounts for a newborn baby, is changing into more plentiful mature milk.
My milk came in the night we came home from the hospital. It seemed pretty obvious, I think, when it came in. She seemed to eat a little bit differently. She was more enthusiastic about it.
Breast fullness is normal and only lasts for a day or 2. To manage breast fullness, feed your baby often and offer both breasts at each feeding. Make sure she is taking in milk and you can see and hear her sucking and swallowing. You can also gently massage and compress your breast to help move the milk into her mouth. If your breasts are too full for your baby to latch onto before a feeding, or still uncomfortably full after a feeding, you can express your milk by hand or pump a little to relieve the pressure. Capture your milk for later use in a clean container. You can also ask your lactation consultant about a technique called reverse pressure softening to loosen up the area around your nipple, making latch and breastfeeding easier in the early weeks. In the first few days, you may feel some nipple tenderness when your baby latches on, but breastfeeding should not be painful. If you feel discomfort longer than 30 to 60 seconds, gently break the suction and try a new latch or a different position. Check that your baby has a deep latch and is taking in milk. Get help if the pain doesn't go away or if your nipples look damaged. Get help right away so you and your baby can have a long and successful breastfeeding experience.
The biggest thing that mom can do to take care of her nipples is to ensure a deep latch. If it feels painful at all during the feeding, mom should break suction and try to get a deeper latch.
Some breast fullness is common in the first few days of breastfeeding. This is normal. However, if breast fullness continues without any relief, your breasts and milk glands can become engorged and feel swollen, hard, tender, or painful. If you become engorged, breastfeed at least 8 or more times a day. To help get the milk flowing before feedings, gently massage your breasts or apply moist, warm heat. To reduce swelling after feedings, apply ice packs or a bag of frozen peas to your breasts. Talk to a lactation consultant or your healthcare provider if you are engorged for longer than 24 hours. It could affect your milk supply. Sometimes engorgement can lead to mastitis, which is a breast infection. Call your healthcare provider if you have signs of mastitis, such as a warm, painful breast with an area of swelling or redness, and a fever or other flu-like symptoms such as chills and body aches. To help prevent mastitis, wash your hands often, especially after changing your baby's diaper and before breastfeeding.
A question I get a lot is whether you should keep breastfeeding when you have a breast infection. Many moms worry that if there's an infection in the breast, it'll make the baby sick, but that's not true. It's best to continue to breastfeed even when you have a breast infection. It can help clear the infection, and it's totally safe for the baby.
If you have mastitis, keep breastfeeding on both breasts unless your baby's doctor says otherwise. Get help right away so you and your baby can have a long and successful breastfeeding experience.
I think that's the great thing about breastfeeding and nursing is that you're, reminded just from the baby, like I gotta make sure I'm eating the right foods. I have to make sure that I'm drinking enough water. And so they help you self-care.
As you adjust to your new life, remember to care for yourself so you can care for your baby. Try to eat healthy foods that are good for both you and your baby. And drink plenty of water and other healthy beverages. Sleep when you can, even during the day when your baby is sleeping. Housework and visitors are less important than getting a good amount of sleep. Remember that what you put in your body could affect your milk and be passed to your baby. Ask your healthcare provider or lactation consultant for the latest information on how medicine, smoking, marijuana, and alcohol can affect breastfeeding babies. For many new moms, breastfeeding support groups are a great way to share information, make new friends, and help solve any breastfeeding issues.
This is what I have done today. I have fed her 7 times. I have changed 5 diapers. Wow, I have done a lot today. It's totally different, and that's a good thing because you're sustaining a whole other human being.
The group leader can help with questions or refer you to professionals who can. Look for a group through your hospital, public health department, or local La Leche League. Mom-to-mom groups or peer counseling sessions are also available in many communities. You can look online to see what's near you. Along with time and patience, all new mothers need emotional support from their partners and families while they learn the art of breastfeeding.
All done. There you go, all nice and clean.
Sugar pea.
Partner support is critical to breastfeeding success.
Breastfeeding is really great for our baby because it's a natural way for her to get all the nutrients and food that she needs. And really, I think that's the best thing for her.
Studies have shown that mothers are more likely to succeed at breastfeeding when their partners show their support. Partners, your attitude about breastfeeding directly affects mom's success. Reassure her that she can do it, especially during the early weeks. Help her get comfortable when it's time to breastfeed, and suggest professional help when needed.
When I was breastfeeding, Dan would get me a little snack and a glass of water. And even in the middle of the night, he would come and I would go and nurse in the nursery, and he would just come and lay on the floor. And so even though he was asleep, it felt good to know that I wasn't all alone in there.
Breastfeeding may take some time to master, but mom and baby's health is worth it. Connect with your baby in other ways, like holding her skin to skin, massaging her, and helping with all of the other parts of having a newborn. Partners, friends, and family can also show support when it comes time to breastfeed outside of the home. It's easy once you get used to it. Just find a comfortable place to sit down and nourish your baby. You can cover up if it makes you feel more comfortable. Every state protects your right to breastfeed in public.
works just fine. All right, well, I'll talk to you soon.
You can keep giving your baby your nutritious milk even after returning to work. Talk with your employer about a good time and place to pump at work. Point out that federal law requires that most employers give time and space for mothers to breastfeed or express while at work. Talk to a lactation professional about how to store your milk, which pump and supplies are best for you, and how to plan for your return to work.
It's hard to transition from working to pumping sometimes, and sometimes it's difficult to let down. So having a picture of your baby or your baby's blanket, even just listening to soothing music may help you respond better to the pump.
Also, ask your insurance if they cover breastfeeding services or supplies. Imagine the reward of reconnecting with your baby after a hectic day at work and knowing that your pumping efforts are nourishing your baby for a lifetime of better health.
Yeah. There you go, looking at mama.